Smartest people in history. You'd describe these people as geniuses, brainiacs, gifted. But why are some people smarter than others? What does IQ mean? Can I boost my IQ? Does studying make me more intelligent? In this week's edition of Neuro Now, we'll be taking a deep dive into the complex and controversial topic of intelligence. Definitions are arbitrary and diverse. Does it mean book smart, street smart, or creative? You may be thinking that's because there's multiple types of intelligence, but what if I told you there was only one underlying general intelligence? Today, we are viewing intelligence from the perspective of neuroscience research, what makes us plan, solve, think, and learn. Therefore, neuroscientists have widely accepted intelligence can be defined as a general cognitive ability related to problem solving efficiently and effectively. General intelligence, G, or G factor, was first described by Charles Spearman in the early 1900s. G is responsible for overall performance of all cognitive tasks. G arises from the positive correlation between tests indicating related abilities. Intelligence tests are G-loaded to some extent, with the most common being IQ or intelligence quotient. An IQ test is an estimate of your reasoning and problem-solving ability relative to others your age. IQ results in society are normally distributed along a bell curve, with 100 being the average. IQ test is still a hotly debated topic. Controversies are due to the misuse and misunderstanding in history. A study found 16% of the US have an IQ of 85 or less. It is suggested they will not graduate or hold a stable job. This is around 52 million, which is double the population of Australia. So as you can see, the IQ measure has a predictive power of overall life success, such as education, income, and wealth. On the channel, we are now joined by neuroscientist Professor Murray. We've provided her with questions to review current research on human intelligence. Thanks. It's a privilege to be on Neuro Now. I'll just share my screen and I'll get underway. The human brain is a complex, interconnected network of billions of neurons, which sends rapid, almost instantaneous signals between neurons at the synapse via neurotransmitters. Dopamine, in conjunction with norepinephrine, are the key neurotransmitters to regulate cognitive skills critical to human language and thought, such as motor planning, working memory, cognitive flexibility, and abstract reasoning. People with a higher IQ display a higher prevalence of these neurochemicals. Unlike other brain functions, it's not in one specific area. Neuroimaging has revealed where neurons work when completing cognitive tests and the white matter fibers that link brain areas and carry information around the brain. In 2007, Jung and Haya proposed the most prominent theory of the parietal frontal integration theory, or PFIT. As you can see in the image, the circle shows the brain areas and the numbers refer to the standard Brodmann area. Most of the areas are in the frontal and parietal lobe, some in the left hemisphere, which are represented in the blue circles, and some in both hemispheres, which are shown in the red circles. And the yellow arrow shows the major white matter tract of fibers that connects the frontal and parietal lobe, acting like a highway. So there's two main hypotheses that have evolved from research. Firstly, the bigger the better, which proposes that intelligence correlates positively with the larger quantities of brain tissue. Various brain measures show the increase in brain volume, cortical thickness, and neuronal density in people with higher IQs. These grey matter changes reflect the number, density, and arrangements of dendrites and synapses between neurons. An important contribution to literature came from Ritchie and colleagues, which found structural differences to account for 20% variance in the G factor. There has been outliers. For example, Einstein had a smaller brain than average. This leads me to my second hypothesis. Einstein had a higher density of support cells per neuron. This is known as the efficiency hypothesis, which predicts that more intelligent people have more efficient brains based on two measures being functional, as in cortical glucose metabolism, structural, as in the length of white matter tracts. White matter fibers transmit information from one area of the brain to another. The shorter pathway between these connections suggests high ability patients have more efficient connections between brain regions. This is also known as global efficiency. Additionally, increased thickness of the corpus callosum, which is a bundle of white matter fibers that connects the left and right side of the brain, is related to intelligence. Haya reflected this in a study of novice and expert Tetris players. The image on the left shows the person's first Tetris session. Notice all the activity in red, which shows the brain is having to work harder due to the less efficient pathways. The scan on the right is the same brain after 50 days of practice. He also completes a study with two low IQ individuals showing that higher brain activity than a control of a person with an average IQ. Therefore, higher intelligence means less brain work. Predicting from a neuronal level is extremely complex and a rapid area of research. However, in the short answer, no. Whilst there are correlations between brain measurements and IQ scores, it is not practical. For example, twice the amount of brain matter does not mean you are twice as smart. It's important to distinguish between enhancing your skills, being motivated, and working hard, and then increasing your IQ or general intelligence. They are not the same. Brain training interventions, such as those seen on apps, show little evidence to improve everyday cognitive performance. As you can see, there is a lot we do know, however, a lot we don't. More accurate tests in combination with neuroimaging and genome studies and cellular neuroscience will reveal the unknown. The use of drugs and electrical and photostimulation will continue to discover if we can actually increase our general intelligence. That's a wrap for my presentation, but I've only covered a tip of the iceberg. Thanks, Professor. Join us next week on Neuro Now for a deep dive in the debate on nature versus nurture as a determinant of intelligence.